Smooth's in the house. Watch your mouth. Last time I was here, I caught my first dub. And we ain't talking tag team, we ain't talking interference, everything all clean here. So, you know what's gonna happen next? Tonight, just me on top. I'm gonna come back for you, Ty. We go way back. I'm coming for all them titles in there. That means I gotta beat this guy, the next guy. I'll beat the last guy again if I got to. But this is what we're gonna do, okay? Sean's in the house, Smooth's in the house, watch your mouth. Simple.
Hello everyone, you are watching 1CW. I'm Juan Antonio Acevito and today I bring you a very exciting show. So let's start by taking a look at the rundown. In our opening contest, Jake Blake is in action and he will be taking on Team Tabor. At the beginning of this show, we heard Sean Smith talk. Later on this episode, we'll see him go one-on-one against Nick Batti. Today also, we bring you an exclusive interview with the 1CW Women's Champion, Big Daddy Adriana. And in our main event, the tag team titles are on the line as the Horribles are challenged by the team of Chris Wilde and Tiberius Asanti. So right now, let's quickly go to our opening contest. Jake Blake takes on Team Tabor.
Tabor, often undersized but never outmatched, has become a real staple here of 1CW.
Jake Blake, again, new to the business, pretty new to 1CW as well.
Bit of a patronizing pat on the chest by Tim Tabor. Recognize why Jake Blake might take offense at that.
Tim Tabor, the veteran in this match.
But yet far younger. Tim Tabor, by a country mile, the youngest man on the roster, but young and tough. The speed with which Tabor delivered that clothesline, that's something new and impressive from Tabor.
But don't forget, Tim Tabor, his mentor is Ranch Hand Carlson. Carlson calling him his son at times, which is why when they were feuding earlier in the year, it was such a horrible thing for Carlson. He had to teach him some tough love.
Jake Blake intercepting Tim Tabor. And that sort of disrespectful slap has really lit a fire under Jake Blake.
Tabor with the catch.
Tim Tabor's got a great base.
Beautiful fall-away slam.
That's Tim Tabor showcasing that rock and roll lifestyle that he aspires to. And beautiful Matrix-like dodge there by Jake Blake.
Jake Blake might make his name off of Tim Tabor tonight. Cover.
Wonderful urgency in that cover. Deep, both legs. Love what we are seeing here out of Jake Blake. Maximize your minutes. Get that victory over a name here in 1CW.
Tim Tabor slowing that match down, stopping Blake.
Every time it looks like Jake Blake has really got it going for him, it's the explosiveness of Tim Tabor that changes things.
Cover.
That's the shifting gears. That is the finish of BT Windsor.
It absolutely is. BT Windsor and Tim Tabor have a long history. Tim Tabor shaking Jake Blake's hand.
That was a call out to BT Windsor. Windsor and Tabor used to have a almost brotherly relationship with.
Speaking of the man,
someone was watching.
You think you can win a match quick, kid? I got this guy right here, and I bet you I can beat him faster than you. I don't even need to take off this jacket. Somebody tell Blackjack's son this ain't Nacho Libre, and he can get out of here. The reason you all bought a ticket to come to this show just walked into the ring. Ring the bell and start the match.
Well, this is an impromptu match.
1, 2, 3.
I guess BT Windsor making a statement.
I'll show you.
These two used to be friends. They used to be like siblings, and sure, siblings fight, but there is no love lost between these two anymore.
Security trying to rip the two apart.
Tim Tabor accidentally cost BT Windsor championships, and it is completely unraveled Windsor's head. Windsor claiming that he got that victory in a minute. He's ignoring the fact that he softened the poor bastard up backstage. That was apparently Isaac Taylor that you saw as roadkill.
But right now, let's talk about something that happened a couple weeks ago, right here in 1CW. A new women's champion was crowned. Let's take a look.
Look at you now, you're 1CW Women's Champion. I'm so honored to be the 1CW Women's Champion, and of course I'm gonna honor the rematch. I've learned so much from you, and it's always a great match with you in the ring.
The following contest is for the 1CW Women's Championship.
Of course, we have watched over the last 2 years Adriana harden like a diamond.
Stevie Brooks. Inverted DDT leg
The
combo.
hit the summer crush.
She's an influencer's influence.
That's exactly right. Not a chance. That is her baby.
Beautiful roll up.
Great leverage, and Adriana does it.
4-time champion. Stevie Brooks celebrating with Adriana. Such respect between these two. Stevie Brooks attacking Adriana from behind.
A little bit less frenemy, a little more enemy. A little less conversation, a little more action. Adriana looking on in confusion. Seems like Stevie Brooks is only willing to be friends with you if she knows she's superior. The second that she's threatened, well, she makes those threats into physicality.
Joining us at this time is the 4-time 1CW Women's Champion, Big Daddy Adriana. Adri, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure for you to have me on the show and to interview me and hear my side of the story.
Now, you and Stevie Brooks seem to be on the same page just before the match, but once the match ended and you became a 4-time champion, she attacked you from behind. How did you feel in that moment?
In that moment, at first I was really caught off guard. I wasn't sure if somebody had ran in behind me and attacked me. Like maybe it was Brittany Blake that just all of a sudden just popped out of nowhere and attacked me. And at first I was really startled until I saw Stevie on top of me and punching me. And I was just like, you know, when those moments where like, you know, normally if somebody were to walk up to me and they were to try to fight me, obviously I would square up. But that had really caught me off guard. It was like one of those moments where you're like, you're still trying to like process it and your body is just like still frozen because your mind is trying to figure out like, what is going on right now? And at that moment, I was just like, are you serious right now? Like, and I felt so betrayed because it was like, at first we were talking about, she's like, oh, I'm going to honor the match and just like hugging it out. And the next thing you know, you're standing on top of me and you're hitting me. Like you hit me from behind. And at first I was sad, but then I was angry because it was like, you're really a snake. And if this is the kind of game that you want to play, so be it.
Is there something you would like to say to Stevie Brooks?
Yes, there is definitely something that I would like to say to Stevie. Stevie, at first, I really respected you and I saw you as a sister. And when you had won the women's championship at first, I felt nothing but pride for you. And I respected you for winning fair and square. And I thought you were different than any of the other girls that I have faced for that belt and the other girls that had beat me for that belt. But it just comes to show that you are just like them. And just know, I already have my guard up with you now. I already know what you're capable of. So whatever sneaky games that you have up your sleeve in the future, just know I'm one step ahead of you, baby. Because once you fool me once, then fool me twice, fool.
Something else I would like to ask. You are now a 4-time 1CW Women's Champion. What does that title mean to you in your career?
Being a 4-time 1CW Women's Champion means the world to me. And though 1CW isn't the first promotion that I worked for or the first women's championship that I've ever won, 1CW has grown to be my home. I mean, I train at their school, and basically when I stepped back into this business 2 years ago, they're the ones that put their faith in me. When everyone else kind of looked at me crazy and was just like, kind of not really gave me a cold shoulder, but wasn't really willing to take the risk on me, they did. And when people look at me from 2 years ago and they see me now, you can just see a tremendous growth. And winning that championship has fueled me. And I mean, even without it, just being a part of the women's division at 1CW and being a representation of 1CW means everything to me in my career, because that is where my roots lie. And no matter where I go in this business, 1CW and the women's championship will always hold a special place in my heart.
My last question. What message would you like to send the entire 1CW locker room?
Message that I have for the rest of the locker room is keep pushing. I know there's some moments where we feel like we're going nowhere, we're stagnant, and we just want to give up. Trust and believe. I have moments like that, but someone had once told me, when you feel like giving up, that's when something big is going to happen. And I lie to you not. Every time I thought that something unexpected has happened. And I feel extremely blessed to share the locker room with you guys, because there was like a moment where I was wishing that I was put on a 1CW show. I was actually part of the crowd, and I was like, one day I'm going to be in that locker room. I'm going to be talent on this card, and look at me now. So just keep on going. It's always a pleasure being able to see you guys, be able to shake your hands, hug you guys, and just being able to fellowship with you all. And let's just kill it in this business.
Big Daddy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your agenda to talk to us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you again for taking the time out of your day to hear what I had to say, hear a little bit of my story, and, you know, just being an all-around amazing person. So thank you so much.
Right now, let's quickly move on to our next contest. We already heard Sean Smith talk, and right now we'll see him in action as he takes on Nick Batti.
We've seen Sean Smith in a great series of matches with former 1CW champion Ty Awesome over that title. So Sean has been close to the top of the marquee here in 1CW before. He's looking to rebound, he's ready to rebuild, or is he just the man that Nick Batti makes his name on?
And here's the thing. We're talking about Nick Batti coming out here. He's kind of, you know, he's the focus of the show. This is his second match in 1CW. His first match, Sean Carlson. His second match, Sean Smith. He's getting thrown directly into the deep end.
Yeah, he is really going after Sean's.
Yes. And all of those Seans are nothing but sharks in the 1CW pond.
The essence of presence, Nick Batti. Likes to call himself a late blooming child star. He's hitting his child star year, well, late in life.
I would say that he looks a little bit older than a child star right now.
Looks very capable in the ring as Nick Batti taking advantage of 4 out of 5 in terms of the count that he's allowed to hold on to in the ropes.
And Nick Batti might have the size on Sean Smith, but again, Sean Smith has gone against the best of the best in 1CW, and down goes Nick Batti.
Using Nick Batti as a literal stepping stone into that enziguri.
We've talked about the athleticism of Sean Smith before. He's a former dancer. He is somebody who really hones his craft. He's probably one of the quickest high flyers that I've seen in a long time.
Sean Smith has a unique ability to control the tempo of a match. His technique, his balance leads to a unique cadence, but in this contest so far, Nick Batti has not allowed Sean Smith to get on a roll. Nick Batti credits himself as a athlete-entertainer hybrid, a multi-hyphenate talent here, and not a Nepo baby.
So if he's an athletic entertainer, so that's kind of like a sports entertainer, right?
Well, that's trademarked, and we're not going to get into the weeds on those legal issues. And Nick Batti almost polishing off the aerial orchestrator, Sean Smith.
Again, Sean Smith is somebody that seems to pull stuff out of thin air. Not able to break off with Batti just yet.
Sean Smith able to find the flow, and when he does, he is nigh unstoppable. But so far, Nick Batti has managed to find his light, hit his marks, and maintain being the focus.
And now he's the focus of that roll-up.
2 count right there for the aerial orchestrator, who has yet to be able to use some of that high-flying ability that you noted he is vaunted for.
Another roll-up, roll right through, kick to the head. Nick Batti controlling this match early. He's doing a great job. He's slowing down Sean Smith. Like you said, hasn't given him a chance to try any of those aerial assaults that he has. But Nick Batti looking to do something fantastic here.
What an opportunity for Nick Batti to elevate his career in 1CW. Only 2, and Nick Batti has had a rough day. Overheard him screaming at our director of operations, "Where's my trailer? Where's my hair? Where's my makeup?" Effectively not feeling like the usual level of accommodations was being provided to a star of Nick Batti's level.
He did take advantage of the massage in the back, though. I think he might have gotten a hot towel with it. So we've got some stuff here for him.
Right now, Nick Batti with the abdominal stretch, but it is a difficult task to try and get Sean Smith in particular to submit because he's so flexible.
He's flexible. He's probably one of the most fit competitors that we have in 1CW. Nick Batti
getting rocked right now by a series of elbows, but Batti wisely ducks underneath and takes advantage.
Again, a nice showing here. He has counters for just about everything.
Showing exactly why they call Sean Smith the smooth operator.
Sean Smith trying to get the audience behind him. Maybe he's going to start flying.
Smoother than Kenny G is Sean Smith. Smoother than a sax solo.
Nick Batti, of course, we mentioned this last time, a trainee of the world-famous Monster Factory, and you can see that playing off.
Big splits, great dodge there by Sean Smith, where defense is half his battle, just causing his opponents to make mistakes.
Sean Smith with a shoulder.
This is some of that high impact offense, spearing through the ropes, cutting the hopes and dreams, maybe the academy aspirations of Nick Batti in half right there.
Do you think we can win Emmys for this?
God, I hope we get an EGOT. EGOT.
EGOT yourself.
Well, Nick Batti got Sean Smith right there, exactly where he wants him, underneath the bright lights. Big impact.
Nick Batti should have rolled that straight into a cover. That's the kind of thing that can cost you a match, but it looks like he wants some more of that spotlight.
Calling his shot is Nick Batti. Perfectly placed. Sean Smith, center of the ring.
Quick cover.
Beautiful, and Sean Smith out at the last moment, but you saw as he lifted up, clutching his ribs, clutching his abdomen. That senton did a lot of damage.
How many times have you seen a Sean Smith match where he's not the first one that goes up and does something like that?
This is unlike any Sean Smith we've had the opportunity to call. Nick Batti clearly came in, watched some tape, did some scouting. Basically, he prepared for the role, right? Like, this is an audition for the rest of his life, and he came in off book.
Do you think he'll sign my autograph book after we get done this?
No, I think he's above you.
Well, of course he is. Right now he's on the second rope. Down he goes.
Sean Smith high above. Now we're in a reverse position. Nick Batti in the center. Sean Smith where he's most comfortable up on the hot top rope.
Sean Smith goes up. Beautiful.
Anything you can do, I can do better. With 3 more rotations, said Sean Smith, and he gets the win.
First time he goes up, he gets that cover. Such an amazing aerial assault.
Congratulations to Sean Smith in picking up another very important victory right here in 1CW. But right now, let's talk about what happened at the beginning of the show. Team Tabor picked up a victory over Jake Blake, but the celebration was cut short as BT Windsor came out and attacked Tabor. At one point, these two were friends, and now BT Windsor attacks Team Tabor. Let's hear right now from BT Windsor.
You little snot-nosed punk. Tim Tabor. I've had it up to here with you, or really I should say up to here, because that's what you are, shorty. Not on my level. All right, I'm done with the games. I am done pretending to be the guy that you think that I am. I am ready to take you out. Because come next month, in September in Houston, Tim Tabor, I will put your head in the mat. And then I will chuck you over that barricade, put you in the seats where you belong, because that's what you are. You're a fan that got in over his head. And you cannot compete with the big rig BT Windsor.
Please make sure to follow 1CW in all of our social media platforms to hear what Team Tabor has to answer to BT Windsor. Right now, the time for the main event has arrived and the 1CW tag team titles are on the line. As the Horribles are challenged by the team of Chris Wilde and Tiberius Asante. This match, our main event, starts right now.
We've got one of the 1CW owners, Mike, coming out with them.
This would, of course, be the Horribles from the Sick and Twisted.
Right. Let's get this straight.
Oh, no.
Hey, announcer! They're the Fight to Be Fit tag team titles. Get it right. So when Mr. Hardy came to me and asked me When Mr. Hardy asked me to invest in his company, we signed a deal. That deal gave me certain authority. Well, I couldn't find anybody to come here and wrestle tons of fun. So I made a deal with the Horribles. Ever since I did that, there's a line of people waiting to fight them for these belts. So, Mr. Hardy decides he wants to set up a match with Mr. Wilde and Mr. Tiberius. Well, hey guys, be careful what you wish for, because I got a line of people looking to take you out too.
And now comes Chris Wilde and Tiberius Asante.
You know, Mike, I love how all of a sudden you got a voice. I love it. But I think you traded your balls for that voice. Maybe Jay's got him in his pocket. Maybe it's in Mark Harrow's gear bag. Maybe it's in this guy's refrigerator box. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. What you're looking at right now is not just the Heart Killer Chris Wilde and the Man Monster Tiberius. What you're looking at right now is the absolute aura of 1CW. So you can call it poetic justice. You can call it dreams and nightmares. But what you're going to call us the next 1CW heavyweight tag team champions. Hey, and no, shut your mouth. You have your time. And I like how you think you own 1CW now, right? You got a little money into 1CW. You don't own 1CW. The boys in the back own 1CW. These people own 1CW. And by the way, I happen to know a guy that also owns 1CW. Well. Here we are. So, Mike, let me get this straight. Just so everybody understands how this works. When you were brought on to run the tag team division. That is correct. The problem, Mike, is there's 3 people on the board. You are one of them, Mike. That leaves 2 other people on that board to make votes that still pertains to the tag team division that you were put in charge of running. And because of the fact that you didn't run it the way the board thought you should run it, by suspending Mr. Wild last month, setting it up very unfairly for Mr. Tiberius last month, the board then voted 2-1, Mike, that yes, you may run the tag team division, but I still make the matches. So, with that being said, Mike, with me making the matches, I'll allow you to run the division, but we're going to run the division the way the people of 1CW deserve the division to be run. So make no mistake about it. You can throw your money at me, you can throw your money at the Horribles, you can throw your money at whoever the hell you want, but the board will always do what's best for the people. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want to get fired? I have no problem.
The time for talking is over. The Horribles versus the 2 men that I think we now ought to call the Aura. Chris Wilde and Tiberius Asante. The tag team titles are on the line, Mike.
They, of course, got this match because last month, Mike Meinhof made Tiberius Asante go 2-on-1 with Wyatt and Craig Z. List. If Tiberius Asante won, then they were going to get this tag team title match.
A little bit of cohesion here between the man monster and the heart killer, Chris Wilde. Chris Wilde has burned a lot of bridges over the last year. There's not a lot of people who'd be willing to have his back, let alone allow him to watch theirs. But Tiberius Asante is the one man in the locker room that seems to be willing to give Chris Wilde another chance.
Tiberius Asante is also someone that you're not going to scare, somebody that you're not going to intimidate. This is almost like a redemption tour for Chris Wilde.
Of course, Tiberius Asante, a former tag team champion in the reality era, knows something about being let down, knows something about being betrayed, now letting down Samael Harris in the worst way possible, and still has chosen to open himself up to this relationship with Chris Wilde, to provide Chris Wilde an opportunity on a path to redemption. So in some ways, the man monster is proving to be one of the most empathetic men in the locker room.
Like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with it would take a lot to scare this man away. Tiberius Asante, easily one of, if not the biggest member of the 1CW locker room.
And this is a bit of a super group that has been formed between Chris Wilde and Tiberius Asante, who are now just delivering rock solid blows to one half of the Horribles. Tag made now to Chris Wilde, because Chris Wilde last year, by far, ruled 1CW. He was the most fightingest 1CW champion in history.
Samael Harris goes up, gets dropped right on his head.
Just like a sack of potatoes. Chris Wilde being used as a weapon.
2.5.
Chris Wilde is starting over with the people. And in a lot of ways has made a very strategically sound choice. If you want to win back the affection, the trust of the locker room, of the 1CW fans go after maybe the only people who are worse human beings than you were, and that would be the Horribles.
I think that's a great point. One of the things I also want to point out, Chris Wilde is probably, you said one of the most winningest heavyweight champions. He's probably one of the most winningest champions in 1CW history when you look at all of his titles put together. Tiberius Asante, probably the most experienced tag team wrestler in that ring. Not only did he hold tag titles multiple times with the Reality Era and in different iterations.
Craig Z-List and Wyatt both interfering, and we can't ignore the fact that Jay Flyer is apparently a part of this circus now too. Call him Jay Disappointment.
In comes Chris Wilde's former trainer, Mark Harrow. Chris Wilde said if anybody knows him, it is Mark Harrow. Mark Harrow trained him. He taught him everything that he knows.
So many men have been tainted by the training of Mark Harrow, and it's no surprise to me upon learning that Chris Wilde was also a former protege of Mark Harrow. Of course, Chris Wilde broke bad at one point. He's got that Harrow stink on him.
Chris Wilde needs to either get out to Tiberius Asante or figure out some other game plan, because right now he's just taking a beating, which is something you don't see that much.
Of course, it is 4-on-2 here with Craig Z-List and Wyatt on the outside. A small but meaningful back rake there by Craig Z-List.
And I also think that if you listen to what Hardy said a few weeks ago, having Jim Milleneux out there is showing about how serious they're taking this, because Jim, that referee, is one of the most famous refs from ECW.
Tag made to Mark Harrow.
And if there's one person that's going to keep this in line, it is him.
Well, Jim Molyneux is no stranger to things that get a little extreme, but really the Horribles have elevated their violence and danger and their intimidation factor in recent months.
Mark Harrow going over the top.
What a sick and twisted puppy he is. Like, who hurt Harrow as a child? Because they did a number on that man. Somehow,
Tiberius Asante drawing the attention of the ref.
What a bunch of weirdos. They're just weird.
They're weird, and we've seen everything from donkeys to rabbits to ether.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this iteration of the Horribles are now 2-time tag champs, and the Horribles as an organization, 3-time tag team champions.
Harrow taking a boot to the face for his trouble. Chris Wilde just smooth in the ring, trying to get to Tiberius Asante. Is Harrow going to let him? He's pulling him away over there.
What a great speed and power combination the Aura have found between Chris Wilde and Tiberius Asante. They really complement each other, but they are still only a very recent team as opposed to I don't want to say well-oiled machine, but like, look at this double submission now by the Horribles.
And we've seen the Horribles use double submissions time and time again in the past.
Yeah, well, they're horrible people. Horrible. Get
yes, it? I got it the first time you said it.
Listen, it's not about me. When you get accosted by a crazy person in the back over and over again, like Mark Harrow does to me, with his voice up 17 octaves, screaming about, "My name is Harrow!" Listen, you tend to let it get to you. So it's Harrow. It's horrible people. It's important.
We got to call the match.
Oh my God, I've got PTSD.
Now both men reaching for their tag team partners. Harrow a little bit closer. Chris Wilde making the crawl across the ring. Tiberius Asante leaning in, trying to get the people behind him.
A tag team specialist, Tiberius Asante, has a winning record in tag team situations. He could be the difference maker in this match.
In comes Samael, in comes Tiberius Asante. Tiberius Asante across the ring, laying out both men.
Big D making a big difference, not feeling a thing from Samael Harris.
Black hole slam.
And this is early for Chris Wilde to come back in.
Chris Wilde wants to go up top and fly.
Chris Wilde is capable of so much, but has proven to be overconfident in the past. Wilde took a lot of damage. Is this too early? And Craig Zelist and Wyatt are interfering yet again.
Jim Molyneux just needs to ban them from ringside at this point.
Well, this is a situation where I think that Tiberius listened to the veteran, like respected the elder in terms of Chris Wilde, but Tiberius is the one who's fresh, Tiberius is the one who's ready, and Tiberius is the one who's about to drive that point home in a very meaningful way.
Up comes Chris Wilde on the top rope.
Still
Frog
legal.
splash.
In the last moment, Mark Harrow able to save those tag titles. No one needs to keep those titles on Harrow more than the other members of the Horribles. He is an abusive leader.
He's an abusive leader that apparently has a new boss. How much sway do you think that
Mike Meinhorn has?
Absolutely.
As long as the check's clear, maybe he has an influence. In bowling, we call that a strike.
Tiberius just showing off that power.
And in the game of human chess, we call that a check. Maybe checkmate. Innovative offense on display by Tiberius Asante, but you think that took more out of Chris Wilde than it gained the team?
I don't know, all men still down. Tiberius Asante out.
And unfortunately, you can't win the titles on a count out, which means that Tiberius Asante can't just stay in the ring and celebrate. He's got to get a member of the Horribles back in the ring.
Here comes Craig Z. List with that chain.
And things are really being allowed a lot of latitude in this match.
Rolling Chris Wilde back in the ring. We've got Craig Z. List and Wyatt holding back Tiberius Asante with that chain.
This hasn't been a tag team match. This has been a handicap match.
Sister Abigail.
But Samael Harris waiting in the wings. What an incredible upset this would be if Samael Harris was able to pin Chris Wilde, and he does!
How many people can say that they've pinned Chris Wilde?
Very few.
And their winners, and still NCW Tag Team Champions, the team of Mark Harrow and Samael Harris.
You can't honestly say this was the biggest win of Samael's career because he has won the tag team titles before, but that was the most consequential pinfall he has ever scored as a competitor when it comes to the quality of his opponent.
I am the best tag team wrestler in 1CW. No one can deny.
And with that, we come to the end of this episode. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been 1CW. Have a great day.